by some salutations, recognizing Honorable Babukar Boy, Minister for Public Service, who is also representing the President Adama Barrow, Honorable Ministers of Agriculture, Tourism, and Interior, who are here also with us, Honorable Members of the National Assembly, the FAO Country Representative, Director General of Africa Rice, President of NACOFAC, senior government officials, regional governors, they are seated next to my left-hand side, farmers and our various farmer associations who are here present, members of the press. The importance of this forum cannot be overemphasized. I think we have been yearning as a country for food self-sufficiency and sovereignty in rice for the longest time. So with these few introductions, I will then move on to the agenda for today, which is we will have a welcoming statement from the Honorable Minister of Agriculture, who is also the host of this meeting. We'll have also a statement from the country rep, FAO country rep. We'll also have a statement from the farmers representative, that is the president of NACOFAC. We will also have a statement from the Director General of Africa Rice, who is also a Gambian, and we are proud of him also. And then finally, the keynote address will be delivered by the Minister of Public Service representing His Excellency the President Adama Barrow. Dr. Demba Shavali will deliver his welcoming remarks. Doctor, you have the floor.
It is a great pleasure and honor to preside over the opening ceremony of our first ever National Rice Forum and Policy Dialogue. Thank you for coming. This forum has brought together key rice seekers and movers to identify bottlenecks hindering our efforts to attain rice self-sufficiency and propose solutions to address these challenges that are identified. This is an unprecedented gathering and should place the ministry and the country in a better footing to develop a roadmap that will propel our nation towards rice self-sufficiency in the earliest possible time. Currently, about 78% of the rice consumed in the country is imported, despite all the favorable conditions to attain rice or food sovereignty. We should not and cannot depend on other countries to feed us. This was evident during the COVID-19 pandemic and far away worse, triggering most rice exporting nations place embark on rice exportation, which caused a major disruption in the rice supply chain. These rice sector development initiatives are a clear testimony of the government's desire to ensure that our beloved nation is self-sufficient in rice production. Therefore, I would like to urge all of you, the participants here of the Rice Forum and Policy Dialogue, to participate actively and identify all the challenges hindering progress and propose concrete solutions to issues so that we can together develop a roadmap that will propel our great nation to achieving rice self-sufficiency by 2030. Finally, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, I would like to take this opportunity to thank our development partners, such as the International Fund for Agricultural Development, IFA, African Development Bank, the World Bank, Islamic Development Bank, the Arab Bank for Economic Development in Africa, BADIA, FAO. And I will say FAO again because they are a very strong partner and have supported this forum. WFP, European Union, JICA, that's the Japanese International Aid Agency, COPIA, that's our Korean friends, and Africa Rice. In fact, I have to specifically thank Africa Rice, not only for their support, but this was an initiative that was born out of a conversation I had with the Director General of Africa Rice in my office. So thank you very much, Dr. Mann. I must sincerely thank the entire staff of the Ministry of Agriculture through my permanent secretary for putting up such an excellent convergence. And I have to thank the organizing committee for their dedication. Thank you so much for that. I would also want to sincerely thank the Roots Project, Giraffe, FAO, and the Rice Value Chain for providing funding for this rice food. I cannot conclude without thanking the entire farming population, especially those in the rural area. I thank every Gambian farmer and every Gambian farm organization that is putting food on our table.
It is a privilege to participate in this National Rice Forum and Policy Dialogue on behalf of the Food and Agriculture Organization of the UN, FAO. I take this opportunity to really congratulate the Honorable Minister of Agriculture for hosting this highly needed forum to deliberate on policy measures for food self-sufficiency and the reduction of hunger in the Gambia. As FAO, we join the government and the partners on the call to deliberate on solutions to address rice production, productivity, and market competitiveness. As FAO, we worked with the government and the partners to analyze the rice value chain in the Gambia, and we made some observations. The basic observations were that we need peace, we need stability, and we need continuing investment to improve rice production. In addition to this, we made note of other conditionalities, and those include the commitment to improve public sector capacity. Other observations include the role of the private sector. We encourage quality investment in the rice value chain by the private sector, and we call on government to offer incentives and minimize restrictions for responsible investment. Ladies and gentlemen, as we gather here today and tomorrow, we would agree that we need drivers for change. We need collective action. We need better sectoral governance. In concluding the remarks on behalf of the FAO, we would like to humbly make the following recommendations to the forum. We are inviting participants to deliberate and address actions that will make a difference for the national rice value chain. We are hoping that in your discussions, you will consider that we adopt policies that will promote no harm to the environment as we produce rice, no harm as we use input requirements. We will make sure that there is optimal use of limited land resources and associated water resources. And because we are looking at the entire value chain, we are hoping that the deliberations will reflect on the importance of marketing and quality processing. And on behalf of FAO, I also express our sincere gratitude to His Excellency, President Adam Barrow, for the cordial relations not only with FAO but with the rest of the United Nations family.
Thank you very much. The next speaker is the Director General of Africa Rice, Dr. Babakar Mane.
Over the last decade, many African countries have registered good progress in increasing local food production, especially for rice, which is the main staple for many West African countries. However, the overall food security scenario, the outlook is very, very worrisome, considering the compounding effects of the rapidly increasing population, climate change, and also the highly volatile world food market. The COVID-19 pandemic and also the effects of the Russo-Ukrainian war have really alerted us to the urgent need to strive for food security and food sovereignty in Africa. Recently, the ban by India, as was alluded to by the Permanent Secretary Motsise, on the export of, for the banning of the non-basmati rice, the export of non-basmati rice, for which Africa is one of the major importers, really has created huge problems and a lot of worry for many African countries. Since the launch of the CAD Phase 2, that is the Coalition for Africa's Rice Development Phase 2, which was coordinated through the AU and also funding from the JICA, total rice production in the continent actually has been increasing, particularly in sub-Saharan Africa. So initially, around 2008, the total production in the continent in sub-Saharan Africa, we are talking about 10.9 million tons. Presently, it has more than doubled to about 21 million tons. Unfortunately, we cannot say that for the Gambia. Because in the Gambia in 2008, we had a total production of only about 25,000 tons, which rose very briefly to 66,000 tons by 2011. And then unfortunately, it has since then gone down to 29,000 tons. And if you look at the total consumption, that has been mentioned by several speakers earlier, presently we are consuming around 275,000 tons. So it doesn't really need a genius to do the maths. But when we look a little bit into detail, we know the reason why the sector has not been so well performing. Whilst yields in the African continent have increased from 1.99 tons in 2008 to more than 2 tons, about 2.2 tons in 2022, in the Gambia, yields almost collapsed. Yields dropped from 1.12 in 2008. Presently, on average, rice yields in the country around 0.69 tons per hectare. You can imagine, less than 1 ton per hectare. So like I'm saying, you don't really need to be a genius to do the maths. And to really make matters worse, if the land area on the rice also, the rice area also at the continental level in sub-Saharan Africa also has increased during that same period from around 8 million hectares, it has gone up to around 14.5 million hectares. But for the Gambia, the rice area actually also fell down very significantly from 2008 to 2022. So that if we look at those figures, we know really there's something we are missing. And I think this is the reason why when I had the discussion with the Honorable Minister of Agriculture, when I came to the country for vacation in December, we had this very good discussion, and I'm very, very glad to really, I think it's really a real blessing for the Gambia to have such a personality in the Ministry of Agriculture, someone with really an open mind to welcome ideas about how can we find solutions together, wherever the source of the suggestion could be. So it was from then that we worked together to really try to launch this discussion, to try to bring together the different expertise so that we can be able to discuss and see how can we work together to really crack this difficult nut. It is doable. So, ladies and gentlemen, clearly we can see that the extent of the challenge we are facing is to attain rice self-sufficiency and hence food and nutrition security in the Gambia in the near future is really huge. So this National Rice Forum is really a great opportunity for us to clearly map out the areas that we need to work on to continuously boost rice production through judicious area expansion, because area expansion, as we know, is very sensitive. You have to always make sure that you are looking at the environmental sustainability for the future generations also. But at the same time, we really need to also expand the rice area. But then another area, as I mentioned, is the yield improvement also. We have to intensify our production. So, but judging by the gathering, the diverse expertise in this hall here, I am really fully confident that by the end of tomorrow, after our full deliberations, I am sure we will be able to come out with a working document that can clearly map out for us what can we do over the next 10, 15 years to be able to achieve rice self-sufficiency in the country. We need to find a solution, and then definitely nobody can do it for us besides we ourselves.
The Minister of Agriculture, the Minister of Tourism and Culture, the Minister of Interior, the Minister of Information, honorable members of the National Assembly, and I recognize Honorable Sanyan, the FAO representative, Director General of Africa Rice and other officials from Africa Rice, permanent secretaries and other senior government officials, regional governors here present, district chiefs and staff of the local government authorities, president of NACOFAC and members of the farming community, members of the media, distinguished ladies and gentlemen. It is a great pleasure and honor to preside over the opening ceremony of the National Rice Forum and Policy Dialogue. This forum has brought together key rice sector development stakeholders to identify challenges hindering our efforts to attain rice self-sufficiency and propose solutions to address the challenges identified. A gathering of this nature is unprecedented, and its end result will help the country to develop a roadmap that will propel our great nation towards rice self-sufficiency in the near future. Finally, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, I would like to take this opportunity to thank our development partners, such as the African Development Bank, BADIA, FAO, WFP, EU, JICA, COPIA, and Africa Rice for their tremendous contribution towards our nation's strive to achieve rice self-sufficiency. With this remark, it is my pleasure to declare the National Rice Forum and Policy Dialogue officially open. And I thank you all for your kind attention.
So on that note, distinguished members of the High Table, I thank you, and we can break this session, and we will allow the members of the High Table to leave. Thank you.